I'm going to, yeah. Welcome
studio
back,
audience.
Yeah.
What? I was going to say the studio audience is in front of me and to my right, and then you're to my left.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. All right. Welcome back to Unstaged with Dave Nystrom. Conveniently, I am Dave Nystrom. And for our second guest, I'm very excited. We have the King of Kappas Casing, the Raja of Wawa, our very own friend, Mr. Pete Zedlacher.
Yay!
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
I would applaud, but I don't think I can work my hands.
Well, you got a mug of hot cocoa in your hand.
Am I holding a hot cup of? Okay, so
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't be applauding.
No.
Okay,
So how's everything going?
it's good. So I'm frozen in this position, and I cannot applaud.
No, you can't.
Okay.
You can't. You cannot applaud.
It doesn't work. Like if I think about it, like the arms don't work.
You know what? The technology. This is episode 2, so the technology hasn't advanced that far yet.
Okay.
We're dealing
when you
with.
get this, I'll
Yeah,
come
we're
back
deal-
and do the second. I'll do another episode when you get the working arms.
Yeah. We've got a 2011 iPad and a paper beard, and we're working with it. We're making it go.
That's so great.
It's all coming together.
I can't wait to see this.
So you have had a. Sorry, I'm dropping my stuff already. You have had a stellar career in Canadian comedy. You are a.
Ad? Did you hear something?
You.
Hat
You are having. You're in the middle. You're in the midst. The golden years of. No, that's the end of it, right?
It's all over. This is the retirement party. This is the,
You've done a lot. You've done a lot up to this point in your career. You are as of last year, you were nominated again for a Canadian Comedian of the Year, Canadian Comedy Awards, right? Am I correct? 2019.
Correct. Yes.
And that was your 6th nomination. Is that right?
Yes. A record 6th.
Yeah, go ahead.
A record 6th.
Yes, a record-setting in the history of Canadian comedy, the most nominations ever, and you won it in 2006. Is that right?
That's right.
That's right.
Back when I was a young man.
Yes. On your way up.
Yes.
Somehow this has turned into me just shitting all over your career.
Honestly, I get uncomfortable when people talk in grandiose terms of like, you've done amazing things, and I always kind of get embarrassed by that stuff. So I tend to be the one to be like, try to muck it up, but I'll be respectful.
You have done. Sorry, I'm just fixing the. I'm constantly dealing with it. Like I said, this is episode 2, and we're still figuring it out.
Okay.
I've got my set figured out a little bit more, and
okay.
Somehow I made you bigger than me. You're tall. I didn't realize it until I just sat down. Now you're taller than me.
Oh, that's the first step of being a talk show host. You got to be on a higher plane than the guest.
I've somehow ruined it already.
Yes.
This is for next. Well, that's why I started with Schritter. I figured it was a safe bet, and
and he would automatically be shorter.
Well, I set him way down low. So, is there anything you want to chat about right out of the gate, or do you want to just jump in? I wrote some things down that I figured I'd talk to you about.
This is all new ground for me. That I'm honestly a little nervous. You know what I mean? Melody was saying, like, "You ready for this?" I'm like, "No." Like,
our audience of dozens.
Like,
is waiting with they're chomping at the bit for the next information on Pete Zedlacher. I'm just going to jump in then.
Okay.
You did and I don't think I even knew this, that you did tours to entertain the troops in Afghanistan.
Did you do research on this?
I did research on you.
This is amazing.
I read up.
I love it.
Yeah. I had my team put together a package and
Good.
they put it on my desk this morning. I've been working on this all day.
Excellent. I'm glad my publicist got a hold of your people. Yeah, I've done, I believe it's 11 or 12 or 13, somewhere in there, tours. They call them Canadian Forces show tours overseas to perform for the troops in different war zones and different operating bases they have around the world. So I think it's something like 21 different countries I've performed in the last, 20 years of show business.
Wow.
It's remarkable. It's like, it's one of these things where, I'm standing inside the king's tomb inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, and then I tried comedy 20 years ago, and this is where it's led me. Like, it's one of those, you know what I mean? Like, how did this happen? I'm at the top of the earth at the CFB alert, the most northern person in the world, and I make fart sounds into a microphone.
It's an amazing, I know, it's an amazingly strange lifestyle that the career affords us.
It's really remarkable, and it's not lost on me. Like, I'm genuinely grateful every day that
my career has not brought me to Pharaoh's tombs yet, but
Red Deer. It's brought you to.
It has brought me to Red Deer several times. What now? Two questions about the Afghanistan. What is the craziest thing you saw when you were over there?
Craziest thing, hey? Well, they have something called camel spiders over there. So, and then I found out it's not actually a spider; it's a parasite. So what they are they look like spiders, and what they do is they launch themselves into the air, and they're about the size of like your fist, and they can grow to the size of a basketball. And what they do is they attach themselves to the side of a camel. They bite into the camel with anesthesia, so then they eat away at the camel. Camel doesn't know it's being eaten alive.
Wow.
So yeah, now, so we saw
camels. Do they attack people?
Yes, they do. Yes, they absolutely. Yeah, they're desert parasites. It's one of those moments in my life. I'm like, where? Like, I'm on a different planet. Like, this is something so foreign to me. This is like there's an alien creature running through.
Well, that sounds exactly like the thing in Alien that attaches itself to the dude and then kills him.
Yes,
that sounds exactly like it.
This is exactly what I was thinking was going to happen. I was going to get one of those face huggers. Were going to jump on me.
Now, my second question. What's the craziest story you heard from one of the guys that were serving over there?
Damn.
I'm sure you got to sit down with them and chat.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you in the hot seat, but without
they're also touching. These stories are all like, so there's one guy on the very first tour was our escort, and he would everywhere we went, we had to have an escort. You know, you had to go to the bathroom. You had to get this guy to escort you to the bathroom and back. And
even on base.
Yeah, even on base. Yeah, that was back in 2002 when they just landed. So it was hot. It was hot, as they say, and so we had to be escorted by this guy everywhere. And it was a cushy job. It was kind of like a reward job. Like, take a break for the next week. You're going to hang out with entertainers, and And this guy was very stoic and very quiet. And anytime you asked him, he was just yes sir, no sir, very quiet guy. And then we found out after we left the base that he was there at Tarnak Farms when the Americans did the friendly fire incident on the Canadians, and his best friend was killed in that bombing.
Oh man!
And he hadn't grieved yet, so they were very concerned about him because he hadn't broken down and cried and punched anything and reacted in any way. So they were very concerned about him. So they gave him this very cushy job of hanging out with the entertainers, and I wish I had known that.
Seeing if he'd snap on you, and
not at all. No, he was just a quiet dude, and never let on that this happened to him just 3 weeks earlier.
Wow! It just happened.
It just happened, yeah.
Wow,
so and then when we actually performed there, there was high tension between the Americans and the Canadians at the time. So we, as Canadians, obviously invited all the nations to the show. So the Americans showed up, and they finally sat next to the Canadians. And by the end of the show, they were kind of mingling and talking again, because there was genuine, adversarial kind of disputes happening between the Americans and Canadians at that moment.
And they were brought together. Nations healed.
I healed nations
comedy
with my comedy.
Of Pete Zedlacher.
Exactly. This is exactly what I wanted to say. That
we all knew where this was headed. I mean, the healing power of Pete Zedlacher.
But I had the American general at the time came up and said, you have done more for this. I'm trying to remember the words that he used, but I was just so bowled over by it that. He said that you're healing well beyond what we could have accomplished in these last couple of weeks, just by you being here and healing the rift between the two countries. And
that's amazing. I mean, I know I'm just doing this to have a laugh and have fun and hang out with my friends, but that's amazing. It's something we don't think of as this thing we do or whatever. It's always it's silly. It's always seems silly fun,
Always.
you know.
I'm glad you understand that. Exactly. I always feel like you're just entertaining drunks in a strip mall, and all of a sudden you're over there and you're healing nations. Like it was. I felt important for the first time in my comedy career, and I jump at every opportunity to perform for the troops. Since then,
I mean that it must be such a rich, rewarding, and just incredible experience. You know,
it really is. It's so rewarding, and it's a tough job, but I think I'm pretty good at it at this point because it's one part performing, and then the other part is hanging out with the troops and being lending an ear and being a part of that ambassadorship of passing along that we're proud of these guys and we want them to come home safe. So it's a very rewarding position to put myself into. So I jump at every opportunity.
I would imagine. And speaking of tours.
Does it seem weird that I'm like being very sincere, but I'm like a robot right now?
You know what? Your sincerity is so pure that I forgot that you have a paper beard taped onto your face.
So what's really important in comedy is that we get out there and I'm like a robot with like a rubber arm.
Tear rolls down the cheek, wets the paper beard. Now, you were also a devout metalhead.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Christian. I was like, no, you have been incorrectly informed. Unless there's
you
Christian
are a dyed-in-the-wool.
Absolutely, I'm a Christian.
You are a dyed-in-the-wool, balls to the wall, metalhead through and through, right?
Yeah. I love music. It's my thing that I can't do, and I always admire the guys that get to do that. We all want to be rock stars,
Oh, I don't think there's a comic alive who doesn't have fantasies about picking up a guitar and being able to, because, and I think it's Dan Quinn's joke. Every woman loves a sense of humor; they just don't want to bang it.
Yeah, that's exactly true. Yeah. And I've heard this many times that every comic wants to be a rock star, and then from knowing rock stars over the years, like every rock star wants to be a comedian. Like it's interesting that we have the kind of back and forth, but at the end of the day, I think being a rock star would be a lot more fun.
I feel like it too. Who's your favorite band, or who's the favorite band you've seen live? I guess I'll narrow it down to that.
I've seen Metallica 13 times.
Wow.
You're
in the concert movie, aren't you?
I am. Yeah. So the last time they performed was with the symphony, the San Francisco Symphony. So I flew down to San Francisco and saw the show, and that was the night that they filmed it for the movie. And then I went to a screening of the movie. I'm such a nerd. I went to the screening of the movie, and just about lost my mind when I saw myself on the screen. I'm like, I'm in a Metallica movie. This is the highlight of my career right here. Nice.
That's amazing. And
it was fun.
Oh, I can only imagine. I've been to a handful of concerts. I enjoy going to concerts. Occasionally, but I'm not like a concert. I don't know.
Well, with kids now, it's got to be. You must be seeing like the Wiggles and stuff.
Yeah, I saw Yo Gabba Gabba in L.A. Took my kids. We waited 45 minutes. The guy came out. I'm pretty sure he was super high.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm quite confident. And having been around comedians for the last 25 years of my life, I got a pretty good eye for it.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he was super high. He did 2 songs, which took a grand total of about 6 minutes, and then left.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was, it was a free concert, so, we couldn't really complain. It was an outdoor, at one of those outdoor malls in L.A. But it was a little disappointing, but I also enjoyed the fact that he was super high.
I was going to say, like, how rock star is that? Like, you're a children's entertainer just showing up, baked out of your tree, just like, all right, here's a couple of my hits, I'm out of here. Right, rock and roll.
And speaking of touring, you are a mainstay, sort of the anchor act on the Snowden Comedy Tour with that goes across 60 dates. It was supposed to be this year. It obviously, because of the coronavirus, hit some road bumps there, like all of our lives, which is why I'm doing this show, because I got nothing else to do.
The same story. This is it. We shut down the Snowed In comedy tour because of COVID-19, and we did our last show exactly 1 week ago, and I've been just hauled up in my home. I've been bunkered down here in my home since then, waiting for the okay to get the tour going again, and it looks like we're gonna keep postponing it until probably the midsummer now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen with all of this. It's been, well, obviously strange days.
Very strange. It's just uncharted waters across every day. It changes, right? So, like, I could even mention right now, like, what's happening, but by the time this airs, it's going to be something different. You know what I mean? So, you know?
I love that you said by the time this airs.
Airs. Correct. Yes. When it goes to air on NBC.
By the time, yeah. It's going to be, well, it'll probably be up tonight by the time I
I guess we could.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're very lucky that we got 2.5 months of the tour in before we got shut down. So I'm thankful that we got, what did we get? 40 something shows in before we wrapped it up. And it's 70 shows, 65 cities across Canada.
Oh, 70. Wow. And it's such a killer lineup that you guys have too. It's Dan Quinn who put the whole thing together, which is he's done such an incredible job with it. It's Dan and I were roommates before. I've known him forever, but to see how he's built this thing from this little idea that he had into this massive juggernaut of Canadian comedy, because it's the biggest tour in the country right now.
The biggest comedy tour in Canada. Yeah, it started off with 6 shows, I think. Like just an excuse to go snowboarding, made some money, expanded on it every year, and now we're in the 12th year, and it's 65 cities and 70 shows, and
it's been a bit of a rotating cast in terms of like the show I saw, because I went actually to, I think that was your last show, right, that I went to?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
So it was you, Erica Sigurdsson, Dan Quinn, and Paul Meyerhog.
Paul Meyerhog, correct.
All fantastic comics, and then Damon Schroeder rotates in, my guest from last night.
That's right.
And then Deb.
So your first 2 episodes are 2 members of the Snowed In comedy tour.
Yes.
So what a get.
Right, the biggest comedy tour in the country. Show
Not a bad way to kick it off.
Show 1 and 2. Right. This is how we do it.
Boom.
And then Deb DiGiovanni.
Deborah DiGiovanni is she rotates in and out. She lives in LA. She's got LA representation that wants her down there at certain times of the year, and
And then
so she comes in.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to say last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago that Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall was doing it as well? There was a couple.
Yeah,
of years ago, right?
Absolutely. We've had, and Arch Barker comes in now and again.
That's right, Arch Barker. Craig Campbell back in the day did a number of years on it, and it's like you guys are like Menudo.
I guess so. Yeah. Hopefully we don't age out of this, and then Dan wants some 20-year-olds in there. It could happen. Who knows?
Now you've done a bunch of writing in your career as well. You wrote for 22 Minutes, right?
No, never wrote for 22.
Didn't you write for 22 Minutes? Your Wikipedia page is incorrect.
Oh, look at that. Somebody's updated something incorrectly.
Yeah.
Funny.
And you wrote for the Ron James Show.
That's the one. That's for sure.
I
did 5 seasons of the Ron James Show.
How was that experience?
It's the best experience of writing for a TV show I've ever had.
Because he's a legend in Canadian comedy.
And he's also a stand-up comic. Like, he's from the trenches with us, you know? So, we'd write a joke, and we'd always write one for the room, you know what I mean? Like, it was like the inappropriate joke that you just slide in there just to like lighten the mood, and it was always something really crass or so, you know what I mean? And Ron would just light up with those, but also just when you'd write a great joke, he would be like, oh, like so thankful, like that's so great, and it's going to be a killer on TV, and it was just a fun experience to work with Ron, and I learned so much from him.
Yeah, and that's honestly amazing because if anybody's if you've never been in any kind of writer's room before, you rarely get feedback in the room. You often just hand it off and hope it does well. And sometimes somebody will come up afterwards and go, hey, I enjoyed that thing you wrote or whatever, which is always nice. But usually in the room, it just kind of gets cranked out and you just move along, right? So it's hard to, as a comedian, you're used to that instant feedback. So it's hard to write in a vacuum, I guess, as it were.
That's so true. Absolutely. It was definitely a moment of like learning that you just have to keep churning out more material constantly. Like just throw it at the wall and see what sticks, kind of thing. Whereas with stand-up, you've got a nugget of idea, you're going to work on it and polish it and then present it. Where with a writer's room, you just keep throwing it at the wall and just see what sticks, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and you're handing it off to somebody as well, because we all have our style, and we understand what we mean in our head for the joke. But when you hand it off to somebody else, it often, I found, didn't translate.
Oh, absolutely. I've written for many terrible performers that just didn't know how to perform a joke. Just so many times looking at the script, going like, I could fucking just murder this joke. I could just murder it, and then watch it just get decimated through the system. So those are the road bumps, the speed bumps, I guess, of writing for television. It's part and parcel of what it's all about, I guess.
Yeah.
Not as rewarding as stand-up comedy.
No, absolutely. I love stand-up. I always have, always will. I don't think I'll ever not do it. Well, except for now.
Except nobody's doing it now. That's it.
Everybody. I mean, there's a certain comfort, I guess, in the fact that we all lost all of our work together. Is that comforting? I don't even know if it is.
Is it comforting? My God. I guess. Yeah, that would be terrible if you heard something like, oh, yeah, in Quebec they're doing shows. You'd be like, oh, fuck, man, what? That would be hard to hear. No, you're right. Everybody shut down. It's a time to just hunker down and let's beat this thing so we can get back to normal.
Now, you have you just released a comedy album, correct?
Yeah, so my last album debuted at number 1 about a year ago, I guess now. Yeah, so it's been out for 1 year.
Okay, so it's been a little while,
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the name of that?
It's called Chuckles Obnoxiously. It's based on a real story that happened with my last television special was on, and I hit the button and I was watching it closed captioned for the hearing impaired. And then the story goes, I was performing, it was Just for Laughs, and a big applause break happens, and then underneath me in closed captioning they put in parentheses, Chuckles Obnoxiously. That was uncalled for.
That was a bit underhanded, yeah.
Yeah. It's a terrible way to find out I have an obnoxious chuckle.
No recourse either. You got to find out after the fact.
I know this prick who was doing the closed captioning decided to put a little editorial into the closed captioning. I'm gonna when I upload this, I'm gonna put a link in the under the video to Pete's album that you can go to and download it yourself. Yeah, it's on Apple Music, it's on Spotify, it's on Pandora. It's stream it, check it out.
Yeah, and you have a couple other albums on there too. Do you?
Yeah.
So get the whole collection and help Pete out in this time where none of us are making any money.
As a matter of fact, yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, absolutely. Please stream it so my family can eat.
Please buy an album, any album, just a Canadian comedian album. Help us, please.
And then when we relaunch the Snowed In Comedy Tour, come out and see us live. That's the best way to get the economy going again and show support for our artists. Is when we emerge from our bunkers, come out and see some live comedy.
Yes, definitely. And you're going to want to get out in the world, and just interact and enjoy people again. So comedy show is a fantastic way to do that.
And what a way to get back into society is having a comedian share their insights of what we just went through for the last X number of weeks, right? So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that comics are all writing furiously and not getting high and playing video games all day. I'm sure that's what's happening.
I have so many projects that I put on the back burner, and then I was like, oh my God, I've been locked down. I have to do it. This is a great time. I've done nothing. I've done zero of these projects that I had.
This was the only thing I've accomplished so far is this, but I'm pretty happy with it so far.
You are leagues ahead of every other comic in the country right
now. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to pitch? Anything else that you got coming down the line? Where's the next actually Snowed In date when it does fire back up?
I don't know, but this is a very good question. So we stopped the tour just as we were getting ready to do Manitoba. So that was the next run. We were going to do Brandon, Winnipeg, Portage La Prairie, all these places, and that's where we shut down. So I think that's where we might pick up in June. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. And then we're going to look to replace the Ontario date sometime in September. Again, I might be talking out of school here, but I think this is some of the dates that we're looking at. But you can check out snowedincomedytour.com to see what the dates get added in.
Okay, snowedincomedytour.com. I'll put that in the links as well.
Cool.
Now, before we go, and I asked Damon this yesterday, so I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite joke by another comedian?
Oh, that's great. Dan had a great one last year. Well, this is an interesting idea too. Like comedians, we don't laugh at jokes, right? Like you see another comic on stage. I mean, you will laugh at a joke, but the highest compliment you can give another comedian is when they perform a joke and you go, "Fuck, I wish I thought of that."
Yeah.
That's
it's often I'll watch comedy and my wife I'll be watching a stand-up special and she'll be like, "Are you not enjoying this?" I'm like, "No, it's fantastic," but I don't know. I'm examining it as I'm watching it too. I'm enjoying it, but I watch it with that comedian's eye where I'm breaking everything down.
Dan had a great chunk last year on the tour about the difference between Canadians and Americans, how we observe and how we respect our police officers. Whereas in the United States, people are terrified of cops. Whereas in Canada, we treat them like referees in hockey. Just like, you get pulled over, you were speeding. Say, fuck off, I was not. Which every time that punchline came up, I was just like, oh man, I wish I thought of that. So it's so great.
That's a great joke, and it's completely true. Having lived in the States for a bunch of years, way more scared of the cops down there than I ever was in Canada.
Well, we're also white.
Well, that is that's true. That is true.
It's true. And then another one that I was a bunch of jokes that so we went to Jamaica last year, and our driver brought his family over for a swim at the house that we rented, and I guess he had told his daughters that I was a stand-up comedian, so they were looking at me very suspiciously all day. And then later on in the day, one of them says, "You're not funny." I was like, I'm not funny all the time. She said, "You're a comedian, but you're not funny." And I was like, "Okay, kid, yeah, you're right on." So then I came back and I told the dad what they had said, and he was all embarrassed. I'm like, "No, that's amazing. That's a great story." So I said they were supposed to come over in the afternoon the next day to go swimming, and I said, "I'm going to have a whole show just for the kids." So then I just looked up online all the kids jokes.
Yeah.
Like you must know 500 of them. But it was fun just to look up all these kids jokes and then just killed. I just killed in front of the kids. It felt so good. Oh my god, it was the best.
Killing. You know what? I did a show in LA for this woman had it at a daycare center. It was a daytime show. It was the strangest show, but she knew I had kids. She's like, "Do you want to do this show?" And all the moms are going to be there, and all the kids are going to be there. But I mostly ended up performing for the kids, and it's amazing because if you make them laugh, it's the purest laugh you'll ever get. Because if they don't like it, they have no problem just staring at you.
Yeah, it was great. So yeah, we had fun looking up kids jokes online, and so that's some of my favorite jokes now are just little kids jokes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Episode 2 under our belt. Mr. Pete Zedlacher, Chuckles obnoxiously available on iTunes and Spotify and anywhere that's streaming platforms are available, right? I'm guessing.
Correct.
Yeah. So check it out.
Again, I would applaud with my hands above my head right now and do like a wave to the audience, but
well, you're missing. I'll give you one of these. You're missing a hand on this side, but I just waved for you.
Oh, I'm a one-armed man on your show. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, it's,
now.
I don't have a budget for a second hand right now. So if this thing continues, I'm gonna try to work a left hand budget in. But right now I've only got right money. So
okay, you get the left arm. I'll come back and do a second episode.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave.